What's up, YouTube? Here we got a back workout today, and right now I'm doing some dead hangs to stretch out my lats, and then in a second I'll start doing some scapular retractions. And this exercise is actually part of my warm-up, and I started incorporating this because I noticed I was having a lot of shoulder pain, primarily rotator cuff pain, and ever since I started implementing these, that pain has gone away and my shoulder health has greatly improved. So if you've got some rotator cuff issues, I would definitely suggest doing those. Our first exercise is pull-ups, and for these we did 3 sets of 10 to 15. For pull-ups, if you want to go for reps, it's important to figure out a good rep range that you can consistently get, and then do that multiple times. Like 3 or 4 sets is usually pretty good. Then moving on to dumbbell rows, and I like to do these standing and unsupported to help activate the core, and I feel like I get a better contraction doing this because I can just really focus on the lats and getting a deep stretch. I don't have to worry about if I was on a bench, if I go down to stretch out, I'd usually run into the floor, and that's really not good because the stretch of an exercise is the most muscle building portion of an exercise. So the deeper and the better of a stretch you can get during an exercise, the more muscle growth you should see. For rows, it's very important to pull the weight towards your hip. Your hand or your forearm should come just below your belly button and your hips. This way you're getting the maximum amount of stimulus in your back and not just working your traps or your rear delts. Next, we got straight arm pull downs, and these are very good to stretch out the lats and get that V taper that a lot of people are looking for. And what you want to make sure to do on these is to keep your elbows not necessarily locked, but slightly bent, and then don't move them from that position. And then pull down with your arms straight like that, straight down to your hips. And here we have some T-bar rows, and this is your meat and potatoes for your back workouts pretty much. For these, you can usually go pretty heavy. I wouldn't worry too much about being like completely parallel to the floor. I mean, if you're lifting heavy enough weight with a pretty decent form, you're gonna see muscle growth. On these, on my last set, I like to do a drop set just to really torch the back. And you'll notice that in these exercises, I'm going from a pulling motion to a rowing motion and back and forth. And that is a really good way to structure your back workouts because like I mentioned in our hamstring workout, it's good to really mix up your muscle mechanics to help confuse the muscle and to help get more muscle growth out of your workouts. And here we got some single arm pull downs, and I'm using bands for these because, like I said, we don't have a pulley system that works. I know there's one in an earlier clip, but we don't have a cable for that anymore, unfortunately. But so we are doing work with bands, and for these I would normally recommend anywhere between 15 and 20 reps, but since it's a band, it's pretty light. I mean, you're only doing the resistance of the band, so I did as many reps as I could for these. And for these, you really just want to use your hands as hooks and really use your lat to pull your elbow down to your side. As you'll see, I'm really not flexing my bicep. If I was flexing my bicep, you could see a pretty good muscle at the bottom, but since it's staying relatively flat, um, you can see that I'm using my lats to pull the bands down. Next is another favorite exercise of mine. Is really good for back development is a barbell row. And for these, it's very important to keep your head in a neutral position to not injure your spine. As you'll see, I keep my head down, looking at the floor for the entire exercise. And honestly, I like doing that rather than looking in the mirror because it just allows you to focus in on the muscle that you're trying to work. And with back exercises, it's very important to focus on scapular retraction, which is bringing your shoulder blades together as much as possible. This will recruit the maximum amount of muscle fibers in your upper back, and then to stretch that out, you'll just let your shoulder blades completely separate. So here we got some pull-up negatives, and for these I'm jumping up to the bar and slowly and very controlled allowing myself to fall down. And this is a very good way to really stretch out the lats and really do a lot of damage to some muscle fibers, which will create more growth in the end. So I like doing these either at the very beginning of my workouts for back or towards the end, because it's a good way to really polish off a good back workout and make sure you have really nothing left in the tank. For these, I'd usually do 3 or 4 sets of as many reps as possible. Alright, so I decided to throw in some abs today, and one of my favorite exercises is leg raises. And for these, you're really just hanging from a pull-up bar and bringing your feet up with your legs outstretched as high as you can. And these really hit the lower part of your abs, which can sometimes be a hard spot to develop. When I fail with my legs straight out, I'll just do it with my knees and bring my knees up as high as I can go. And for these, I'm really just doing as many reps as possible to really fatigue the abs. Your abs and your core are one of the strongest parts of your body, so they can usually take a pretty good beating. And moving on to sit-ups, these are just your standard sit-ups. You know, people try and pump out as many sit-ups as they can in a minute, and they're really not working out their abs and their core. So when you're at the bottom of the movement, right here, you want to start the movement with your abs. And you'll see I point to my stomach here in a little bit, and I'm really focusing on flexing my abs to start the movement. That way they're already contracted at the beginning, and then as I come up, they get further and further contracted. And moving on to planks, I really like doing planks. I used to do them just about every workout. I think max time I had up to 4 minutes at one point, but now I usually just do this for a max time or the amount of sets. And you'll notice here you might be thinking you kind of need to get your butt down a little further, but I'd like to show you in this next clip that's not necessarily true. One key that I think is overused is to put your butt down. Put your butt down. I think a better key cue to use is to bring your hips underneath you. This will engage your entire core, and you'll get a much better stimulus in your abs from just engaging your core and bringing your hips as far as you can underneath your body. Here I am doing a plank as you would normally see, with my butt down. This is me engaging my core, and as you'll see here, if I bring my butt up just a little bit, I can engage my core a whole lot more and get a much better contraction in your abs. I really don't know what to call these other than lat push-ups. These I like doing to really focus on the mind-muscle connection with your lats and your upper back. And for these, to get up, to get like up off the ground or whatever you're pushing off of, I'm flexing my lats. What I'm doing is I'm stretching out my shoulder blades, and I'm trying to spread them out as far as I can, and that's what's driving me up and away from this bench right here. In the next clip, I've got a better angle that kind of that shows my back, and maybe you'll be able to see more exactly what I mean. Thank you guys for watching, and please comment, subscribe, and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And I'll see you guys next time.